Why are we here? Perhaps because of Walt Whitman. When Walt Whitman self-published the first of his 8 editions of Leaves of Grass in 1855, the world understood that these meaningful sentences were the new voice that Ralph Waldo Emerson had called for in American verse. Eschewing form for idea, but he uses a lot of anaphora, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of anaphora, okay? Can I get a witness? No. Anyway, this was suited for a time of war, for a time when a country was seeking a definition, when a country was literally fissioning. And so his taking about poetry and bringing it to these sentences was appropriate to that time as exploration, and absolutely appropriate to that time. The second wave of free verse poetry came around the time of the modernists, around the time of horrible technological war. Stein and the futurists and others subverted meaning and logic, just as those wars had done for the people in enduring them. And came a machismo as well, maybe because of soldiering, but as Annie points out, Annie Finch, my co-panelist, says that the modernists never tire of calling each other, macho, and oh, said Joyce, that Eliot, he does not write girly poetry. No. But again, we had experimentation, true experimentation, a bursting forth, and it was vigorous. As the 20th century went on, free verse continued to be associated with boldness, innovation, and people tried, and now also anyone could be a poet. There was no formal agenda, no practice, no apprenticeship, nothing to learn. And this actually added to the richness of our poetic fabric. But it also had horrible collateral damage, which is that people stopped using form, stopped understanding form, and stopped understanding the sinews that twist with meter through a poem and make it move. And this figure. I will stop to tell you how I came by formal poetry not long ago. I basically begged Annie over here to teach me something about formal poetry. My first engagement with poetry was translating Victory Over the Sun. And if any of you know Victory Over the Sun, it's by the poet and lexical radical Alexei Kruchonych, and we were before Dada. He was before Dada, and he was crazy in Dada, and is still the most way-out writer. So I thought, well, gee, anything goes in this literary landscape. You can do anything whatsoever with this stuff. So, but I remember one time my experience with form was I went to a group of Russians, and there was a poetry, a young poet a translator who had translated Nikolai Gumilyov's The Giraffe. And he wanted to say it in Russian, but he couldn't. He couldn't remember the lines in the audience, one after the other. And then 2, 3, 4, finally the whole audience was prompting him and saying this poem in unison together. I had never seen anything like that. And I said, what's this form about? I also edited an anthology of Russian poetry. And while a lot of people nowadays, a lot of Russian poets would say, Brodsky, that's old hat, but still, something about the power of their verse in form causes people to be willing to go to jail, which they actually can for a poem. So I begged Annie to teach me some of this form stuff. So what is form? For those who don't practice it, form is craft. For those who do work in form, it is what Joseph Brodsky terms the spiritual value of a poem. It is indivisible from meeting. It is the dactylic hexameter of Homer, the Omphibranch of Pushkin, Gwendolyn Brooks sonnets, Langston Hughes ballads, Jared Manley Hopkins sprung tertiary. I am of Milton, tertiary Dante. It is everything that Alexander Pope shows it can be in an essay on criticism. You want it to flutter, you want it to stampede, you want it to pause, you want it to run in circles. Yes, meter can do that. Meter can do that to the content of a poem. Okay. So as Annie says, children are born with an innate love of rhyme. When I was a child, I loved hearing a Russian, very rhyming thing about a young man who sticks his hand in the maw of a crab, but it all rhymes. It was very fast and delightful. And we remember this, Russians, to our day. And just as you remember your verse from that day, the little verselings that your itsy bitsy spider, whatever, you know. But the thing is, teachers don't know how to teach meter. High school teachers don't know how to teach meter. College professors don't know how to teach meter. College professors often cannot identify an iamb, the basic foot, nor can they do any falling rhythm. What's that? You know, this is not a good state of affairs. Ignorance rarely is. But kids won't put up with that. Kids will not put up with, poetry with no gusto and rhythm and beat. So they run after class to listen to rap and hip hop, which is marvelously accentual, marvelously rhymed. And I told you once and I told you twice, your dope language arts class ain't so nice. I exemplify the heat, I identify the beat. My teacher's an undertaker on the dead poet's street.